So college football is finally back. We have some great games throughout the day, but right now we need to talk about the insane day Oklahoma had yesterday, getting in not only one recruit, not two, but three major wins, and we only managed to talk about one of them, the Makari Vickers win. Today, we need to break down why Anthony Evans and Emeka Megwa to the Oklahoma Sooners are such big wins, what all three of these additions mean, and why yesterday was such a huge day for Brent Venables and the Oklahoma Sooners. But before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I need to hear from you. Hop down to the comments. Y for yes, N for no. Are you excited by the three additions Oklahoma got yesterday? And then let me know your thoughts. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content, and you don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, like and comment down below, as those interactions, though seemingly small, are truly massive to content creators such as myself. But having said all that, before we can talk about the impact of Anthony Evans and Emeka Megwa, and no, I didn't forget about Makari Vickers. I did that video yesterday. I'll link that in the description and as well as a card at the end of this video, so if you missed that, you can go check that out. But before we can really go into the impact of those players, something caught my attention yesterday. When I finally got home, I sat down, I start scrolling through Twitter, and a tweet caught my attention. Coming from the Twitter account Crimson and Cream Recruiting, they pointed out something that I didn't know. That if recruiting ended right now, Oklahoma would sign its best class in the institution's history from a points perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, that is wild because we are in August and football hasn't even kicked off yet. That is an incredible stat that right now in August, with so much time left, with so many big battles still out in front of the Oklahoma Sooners, if everything ended right now, this would be the greatest recruiting class they have ever signed. That is just a wild stat to me because Oklahoma is a blue blood institution. It's a proud institution that's been able to recruit at an extremely high level, that's been able to develop at an extremely high level, and that's been able to win games at an extremely high level. Now we see a coach who hasn't even been there a year already recruiting at their highest caliber. Now, what that means for development and on-field, we still need to see, but early results are coming back overwhelmingly positive. Now, that tweet I just thought was incredible. I'm going to link Crimson and Cream's Twitter account in the description. Be sure to go over there, give them a follow, because they're giving out information like that. This Brent Venables recruiting class, even though I say it all the time how impressive it is, when you look at it through that lens, it just becomes even more impressive. And you all have heard me say this time and time again, so I apologize once again. I continue to be surprised by those that are surprised by how well Oklahoma is recruiting. But in fairness, if I went back to December of last year and I told somebody once Brent Venables was hired that, hey, not only is Brent Venables going to salvage the 2022 recruiting class and get Oklahoma a top 10 recruiting class plus a top 10 class in transfer portal acquisitions, I think a lot of people would have thought I was lying. If I would have gone even further and say on top of everything I just told you, he's going to go and sign what could be the greatest recruiting class in Oklahoma history, and oh yeah, by the way, looks to be on the precipice of signing a top 5 recruiting class as the Oklahoma Sooners currently sit at the number 4 class in the nation with plenty of big battles left in front of them and more than enough time. I think a lot of people would have called me crazy. And in fairness to those people, if you were to hear that with any institution getting in a first-year head coach and I'm laying those lofty of expectations out in front of you, you wouldn't think those people were too far off base for thinking, there's no way that's going to happen. Yeah, Brent Venables is a great coach. We saw what he did at Clemson. We saw how he was able to recruit. But in a year, him getting the best recruiting class Oklahoma has ever seen, a top 5 class, which, by the way, if that happens, Lincoln Riley was never able to do with the Oklahoma Sooners. Get that top 5 class. Brent Venables might be on the precipice of doing that in his first class, and it looks increasingly more likely with every win they get. But what is abundantly clear is that this staff is going to make their presence known, and if you're someone who is doubting them, as so many national pundits were, claiming that they would never be able to recruit at the same level as when they had Lincoln Riley, I've got bad news for you, because it doesn't look to be slowing down, and I think this is a staff you need to keep your eye on. But I digress. We have some players we need to talk about, and we're going to start with Oklahoma's huge win in the transfer portal. A former top running back in all of high school football, a four-star player out the state of Texas, Emeka Megwa, found his way to Washington out of high school, and this is a running back that I know Oklahoma Sooner fans can't wait to see in action. Now, unfortunately, you're going to have to wait some time as he's not eligible right now, but at the end of the day, it does not diminish what a big win this is. Because if we go back in time to last year, Oklahoma fans had a major complaint, and that was the depth at running back and the lack thereof. Because even though they had very talented running backs, they just didn't have the depth there for them to be able to run the offense in the manner they would like, and because of that, the offense at times looked timid because they just didn't have the adequate depth. Fast forward now, and that running back room is looking really strong, and an addition like this makes it even stronger. You have several different guys who Oklahoma fans are very excited to see, and especially when we really start breaking down what Jeff Lebby brings to the table and how he utilizes his running backs. Once again, I've talked about this. I can link that video in the description if y'all would be interested in that. I've talked about how Jeff Lebby loves to utilize not one running back, not two running backs, but multiple running backs, and I think when you look at the stylistic difference present in the Oklahoma Sooners running back room, you're going to see a lot of high-flying action. Eric Gray's a guy that can be really effective out the backfield, and that's something Lebby loves doing, is getting his running backs in space and letting them work. I think he could set it on fire there. Marcus Major could be in for a huge year. You even have the two freshmen coming in who have been turning heads, but this addition right here just continues strengthening that running back room, who already have several names that the Sooner fan base are very excited about. So what does Megwa in particular bring to the table? Well, he is a bruiser, standing 6 foot, 210 pounds plus, but this is a guy who's going to just straight up run through you, and he's someone who's going to add another layer of physicality to that Oklahoma running back room, which is going to be very exciting to see. But now let's talk about the other addition they got in the class of 2023. Because in the evening they pulled Makari Vickers, one of the top players in all of high school football, but that was not the only huge recruiting win they got in the class of 2023 yesterday. Because they also pulled a 4-star wide receiver who ranks as the number 350 player in all of high school football, regardless of position out the state of Texas, wide receiver Anthony Evans, who stands just under 6 feet. Anthony Evans is a guy that when he gets the ball in his hands, he is dangerous because of the burst, explosiveness, and speed he brings to the table. And this is a guy with legitimate track speed. Having already logged a 10-200 meter dash, this dude can straight up fly. And now, kind of like I talked about with the running back room, whenever we look at the wide receiver room for the Oklahoma Sooners, we also need to acknowledge what Jeff Lebby likes to do there. And the stylistic difference is he likes present in that room as well. You're going to have your big body wide receivers who are going to be able to make plays, the physical catches, but they're not going to be lacking in the athleticism. But you can already see with an addition such as Petway, and now with the addition of Evans, they're going to be getting some burners too, that you put those guys in the slot and watch them work, watch them terrorize the defense, because you can't coach 10-2. You either have that or you don't have that. And Anthony Evans is someone who has that. And what's more impressive about this win is how it came to be. Because going down the stretch, Anthony Evans looked like he was a Georgia Bulldog lock. And let's be honest, if you're a recruit right now, it's hard to say no to the Georgia Bulldogs. They're coming off of a national championship. They just send how many guys to the NFL, let alone the first round of the NFL draft? And let's be honest, even though they sent a ton to the first round this year, that's not necessarily a one-off for the Georgia Bulldogs under Kirby Smart. Their rate of development has been incredible. What they do every year in sending guys to the NFL draft is significant. So whenever you have a prospect seriously considering Georgia to the point where Steve Wiltfong has inserted a crystal ball in Georgia's favor, and you're able to flip them at the last minute in the waning hours, that's impressive. That's highly impressive. And I get it. When we talk about Georgia, rarely are we talking about their offensive prowess, but at the end of the day, they're still sending guys to the NFL. Their wide receivers are still ending up in the NFL, and they're winning a national championship last year and competing in the college football playoffs. It's tough to say no to that, but ultimately the Oklahoma Sooners were able to pull the rabbit out the hat and get in another huge win, propelling them to the number 4 class in the nation. This is an incredible cycle for Brent Venables, and as Crimson and Cream Recruiting, the Twitter account who I'm going to link in the description, tweeted yesterday, if recruiting was to end today, Oklahoma will have signed its best recruiting class in history. Brent Venables hasn't been there a full year. We're in August. A game has not kicked off yet, and already the Sooners are seeing this level of success on the recruiting trail, which really makes me curious as to what's to come in the future. Hop down in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking about all these huge wins. Let me know what you're excited for week 0 football action, because I cannot wait. I've been up since early this morning, just ready to go for college football, and I know y'all have too. That's it. See ya.